So let's talk about classic microphones. Raise your hand if you have had experience with some of the most classic old tube microphones, like, U47s, C12s, Telefunken 251s. Raise your hand if you've had experience with these mics. That's a pretty rare honor because these mics are very rare. They're very rare. But raise your hand if you've heard of these mics. Of course, we've all heard of these classic mics. So here's an interesting question. Think about this. Some of these microphones are 50 years old. 50 years old, maybe even more. 50, 60 years old. And yet they're still some of the most sought after microphones. Why is that? All the modern technology, why does everyone still love these old school microphones? And the answer I have is because they have that certain classic vibe and character that nothing else has. I mean, how many times has someone tried to recreate the sound of a U47 and it sounds good, but it's not that classic old school sound with that VF14 tube and that Mylar capsule and that old smell. I mean, these are all part of what makes these, microphones so classic. Same thing with the old 251 and the old C12, U67s. All these mics have this classic sound. Now at Slate Digital, what we decided to do was examine what is it that makes this sound. When someone says, I like the sound of a U47, what are they saying? What is the sound of the U47? That's what we aimed to figure out with the virtual microphone system. And when it comes down to it, it's always the same answer. And it comes down to a term that we call DNA, dynamic nonlinear artifacts. Anytime audio is going through an analog circuit path, anomalies happen. Nonlinears are added to the audio signal. What kind of nonlinearities? We're talking about harmonics. We're talking about phase distortion, frequency distortion. There's certain frequency responses, certain resonances, saturations. I mean, all of these things equal sound. When someone says, I like the sound of that U47, they like that specific frequency response. They like, the harmonics. They like, the different, qualities of that analog signal path. Same thing with any other microphone. So now we understood what creates the sound of a microphone. And now if we wanted to recreate it, we were missing one key component. Does anyone know what that is? A blank canvas. We needed a reference source. We needed a reference source that was greater than, with a higher bandwidth than what we were modeling. So we needed to capture data. And then once we capture that data, then we can minimize that data into the sound of these classic microphones. So that is what this is over here. This is the ML1. Every time I touch it with these presentations, it shocks me. And I say to myself, the next presentation, don't touch the mic. And I touch it every time, and it jolts me. And now I'm awake. Okay? So here we are. Here we are together. So this is the ML1 large diaphragm reference microphone. It's designed to do one thing, be ultra linear, flat, and clear. Okay, high bandwidth, low distortion. We want this thing to sound flat and neutral. Flat and neutral. Then it goes down to this box over here. The microphone path goes to this preamp. This is the VMS1 ultra linear mic preamp. Once again, the whole point is to take that mic signal, amplify it, and get it to the workstation without any distortions, without any harmonics, without any colorations. We want it to be super high bandwidth and linear. So that gives us this great high bandwidth blank canvas in the workstation. That's when all the cool digital signal processing happens. And it happens with this first module here, which is the VMS Classic Tubes module. That takes this super high bandwidth linear signal and adds all of the details and qualities of these classic microphones. We're talking about, for instance, the FG47. It adds that amazing thick mid-range, that big fat warm bottom, all the harmonics, the tube saturations. All of these qualities that are in the Classic 47 are modeled in that module. Let's go to the next one. The next one, the FG800. Let's fast forward time 50 years. This is a model of one of the most classic modern tube mics. The Sony 800G is what this model is. This microphone is super bright, airy, detailed. You've heard it on tons of modern pop. You've heard it on Katy Perry's records, on Mariah Carey. Dr. Dre loves this on hip-hop vocals because it cuts through the mix. It's super clear, super detailed. I love this microphone on so many singers. Here's the next mic. This, one more. The FG251. a model of one of the most rare and sought-after microphones in the industry, the classic Telefunken 251, the Elam 251. This is one of the most flattering microphones on almost anything. It's got a beautiful, bright top end, a warm, thick mid-range. It's absolutely gorgeous. Does anyone know how much a good condition Telefunken 251 would cost you in US dollars? 25,000? Anyone want any other guesses? We found one in the US from a major dealer. They wanted $34,000 for this one microphone. Does anyone have $34,000 cash on them right now? I made some sports bets with a guy named Ivan down the street. It's not going well. I'm serious. Does anyone have any cash? We'll talk about it later. Let's go later. Anyway, the next module we have, because remember, once we have this blank canvas, we have, the ability to completely control the virtual signal path. So the next module is called the virtual preamp module. We have two different preamps. That's the FG73. It's a model of the classic British discrete Class 8 preamp. It's bold, it's got a great presence, it's got a great shimmery top end, it's got a thick, solid low end. The other preamp module we have is the FG76 model. Is one of the most classic old school tube preamps used to record bands such as the Beatles and the Stones. This is an amazing preamp. It's got this kind of juicy low end, it's got a thick mid-range, slightly subdued top, it saturates really beautifully, and those are the two preamps we have. So guys, I'll give you two options. I can talk more about the microphones for another 30 to 40 minutes and discuss more about the technicalities, or you could hear the microphone on an amazing singer, and I'll leave the option up to you, as I always have. What do you guys want to hear? Okay, 30 to 40 more minutes, and let's talk. Okay, so let's talk about capsules. Tell you what, let's switch it up, even though you guys want to hear me rap and make bad jokes about sports bets. Everyone, please, big hand for Akila. She's going to come up here and sing on the VMS. Don't shock me, don't shock me. Okay, here we go. Guys, big hand for Akila, killing it all day, every day. Amazing, thank you so much. And I always like to remind people that everything in this hall is designed so we can capture talent like that. Okay? When we have this gear, it's not about listening to how good our gear sounds, it's how good our gear can make that sound, okay? Remember, it works one way, not the other. So anyway, Jesse, do me a favor, solo that beautiful vocal. Let's take a listen to just the microphone and the preamp with no processing. So we're just hearing this high bandwidth neutral signal. Let's take a listen.
No need to ask, he's a smooth operator. Smooth operator.
Thanks. So again, the VMS is capturing that signal. It's very clean, very neutral. We don't want any character on it. We don't want any colorations. We want a great starting point, and I hope you guys would agree that's a great starting point. So now comes the fun part. Now we're going to play around with some classic microphone emulations. Jesse, I want you to put on the classic FG47. One more. Okay, then I want you to put it through an old tube. I'm sorry, let's do this. This is a cool new modern pop song. So we want to go with some air, some detail. Put on the FG800. There you go. This is a modern mic. This is going to have lots of air and crispness and detail. Let's go to the micro pre. Let's go to the FG76, which is going to thicken it up and fatten it up. All right, do this first, Jesse. I want to just hear this soloed. Let's just take a listen what it sounds like soloed.
No need to ask, he's a smooth operator. Smooth operator.
It's nice and detailed. You guys hear all that air and that sizzle and that beauty? Let's do this. Just soloed. I want you to, the first half, keep the emulation on, then bypass it. So take a listen to what happens when you bypass the emulation. Go ahead.
No need to ask, he's a smooth operator. Smooth operator.
And
smooth operator. Smooth operator.
all right, now let's do this. You guys can hear how much character and detail and air happens with that emulation. Put it in the mix, Jesse. Let's hear the emulation in the mix. Go ahead.
No need to ask, he's a smooth operator. Smooth operator.
And bypass.
Smooth operator.
Gets lost.
Smooth operator.
I mean, from here, it kind of sounds like we went from a record to a demo, you know? It really gets lost. Now, here's the thing. So the great thing about the virtual microphone system is this microphone worked for this vocalist on this type of track. Now, what if she was singing a track that didn't require this airy, sizzly, detailed vocal? Let's bring Akila up one more time. Please, one more round of applause for her. We're going to do one more track, and we're going to switch it up. Guys, come on. A round of applause for live talent here at Musikmesse. Come on. Okay, so we're going to do one more track. Let's take a listen to this song, because this is going to be the completely opposite spectrum. And watch what happens.
I waited till I saw the sun. Don't know why I didn't come. Left you by the house of fun. Don't know why I didn't come. Don't know why I didn't come. When I saw the break of day, knew that I could fly away. Instead, kneeling in the sand, catching teardrops in my hand. My heart is drenched in wine, and you'll be on my mind forever.
Guys, one more big hand for Akila. It's just beautiful. I think that was the best one yet. I think we ended off on a high note. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. She's so great. She's so great. Okay, so we're going to do an interesting test. First of all, Jesse, let's hear the vocal with no emulation. No emulation solo. Let's take a little bit.
My heart is drenched in wine.
All right, now let's do this. We're going to do an experiment. We're going to use the same microphone emulation as that modern pop song. Listen to it. Tell me if you think this fits. Go ahead. Put it in the mix now.
My heart is drenched in wine.
So, I mean, from my ears, that's not a fit that I think is good. I mean, you have this very airy, modern vocal in this laid-back, jazzy track. So let's try a different mic. So she sang to the VMS. So now we can change the mic after the fact. Let's put on the FG47. So now this is like going back in time. We're going back in time 50 years to an old school mic. It's going to have that thick, creamy mid-range, that warm, fat low end. Let's take a listen to the same thing. Here we go.
My heart is
there it is.
In wine.
Fits like a glove now. Do you guys agree? So let's do this. Solo vocal, Jesse. Copy that over to B. Let's do a comparison between the FG800 and the 47. Because, I mean, they're two polar opposite mics. This mic, I think you guys would agree, really fit the track nicely. It was warm, it was fat. So let's do this. So we have 47 on A, 800 on B solo. Let's hear each one.
My heart is drenched in wine.
And here's the 800.
And you'll be on my
Doesn't work. All right, let's do this. Now let's complete the chain. So we've chosen the right mic. Let's use the virtual mix rack to complete the chain. So Jesse, do me a favor. Go over to the top of the song, and I want to use the FG47, which is an emulation of the 47. Yeah, let's compress it a bit. So let's go to the very last preset, Jesse, the very last preset. So no, that's not the one. So Jesse, go to the presets at the top and go, okay, yeah, that is the right one. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Don't listen to me. All right, so let's do this. Let's go to the top of the song and hear our complete chain. So we're going through, remember, a vintage 47 microphone, a vintage Telefunken style preamp, 2 preamp, and then finalize it with a classic FET compressor. Let's take a listen. Beautiful.
Don't know why I didn't come.
Bypass the plugins.
Left you by the house of fun.
When you get it back on, compensate the output a little bit. Give me some more gain.
I didn't come.
There it is.
Don't know why I didn't come.
Keep it going. Let's go in and out a few times.
When I saw
No plugins. Beautiful.
Instead kneeling in the sand, catching teardrops in my hand.
Thanks, Jesse. So as you can hear, when you add this analog model processing to both the microphone, the preamp, and now we're even using a classic analog compressor, you get this beautiful character and emotion. This is a signal chain that if you were to buy this in the analog domain, would cost you over $30,000. And that's really what the VMS is about. It's bringing, this high quality sound and bringing versatility and creativity to a market where we can all actually afford it and not have to sell our house and our cars and not pay rent and do bad things and rob banks. I mean, that's the whole idea here. We want to make music and not worry about paying $35,000. So that's the virtual microphone system. Thank you again, Akila. Your voice sounds incredible. You've been amazing this whole time. The virtual microphone system will be in Europe in early June. You can get it at any Slate retailer or dealer. And I'll take any questions you guys have on VMS before we go into Ravens. So please ask any questions if you have one.